For decades, the world has been enchanted by the legacy of Princess Diana. Her grace, compassion, and ability to connect with people from all walks of life earned her the title of the People's Princess. But beyond the public image, behind the flashing cameras and the palace walls, was a woman whose deepest identity was that of a devoted mother. She adored her sons, Prince William and Prince Harry, beyond measure. Now, years after her untimely death, a long-lost letter from Diana to her eldest son, Prince William, has resurfaced. It's a heartfelt message filled with wisdom, emotion, and revelations that paint a vivid portrait of her love and concern. This letter is more than a piece of royal history. It's a glimpse into the soul of a mother trying to guide her son through the stormy waters of royal life. But before we dive into the contents of this letter, we must understand the environment that shaped it and the woman who wrote it. The discovery that shook royal historians. It all began quietly with little fanfare, buried in the catalog of a London auction house in July 2004. There were no headlines, no major announcements, just a listing of handwritten letters by Princess Diana. But among the collection, one letter in particular drew immediate attention. It spoke about her son William in such a personal and affectionate way that it captivated even the most seasoned royal watchers. The auction was organized by SS, featuring Diana's private correspondence with Violet Collison, a woman who had served as more than just a housekeeper. For decades, Violet had been a close friend and confidant to the Spencer family. She had witnessed Diana's transformation from a reserved young girl into one of the most recognized and beloved figures in modern history. These letters chronicled that evolution, providing raw and unfiltered insights into Diana's private world. Unlike official palace documents, which are typically vetted and polished to fit the monarchy's public image, these letters were emotionally charged and deeply human. They reflected the highs and lows of Diana's life, the pressures of her public role, her struggles within the royal family, her personal heartbreak, and above all, her unwavering love for her children. The emotional core of Diana's letters. One particularly revealing letter, dated July 8, 1981, just weeks before her wedding to Prince Charles, captured the whirlwind of last-minute preparations. Yet Diana's tone was light and playful. She wrote, "Everyone's racing around here fixing up last-minute stuff, but the bride's keeping her cool." That one sentence spoke volumes about her down-to-earth nature and her ability to maintain composure under pressure. But as the years went on and the reality of royal life set in, Diana's letters took on a more serious tone. The playful excitement of a young bride transitioned into deep reflections filled with concern, frustration, and above all, motherly devotion. Each letter contained glimpses of a woman who was constantly thinking about her son's futures, their emotional well-being, and the legacy she was shaping through them. In one heartfelt letter dated June 21, 1989, William's 7th birthday, Diana expressed her gratitude to Sergeant George Plum of the Special Escort Group. "It was so nice of you and your team to come here today," she wrote. "I can't even tell you how much joy the show brought to all those kids and their moms." What made this letter even more touching were the tiny scribbles and signatures from William and Harry next to her name. It was a rare, intimate look into a family moment, far removed from the usual glare of the media spotlight. It reminded the world that before the princes were public figures, they were simply two boys loved dearly by their mother. Diana's mission from the very beginning. Diana rejected the cold and formal parenting methods traditionally associated with royal life. She was determined to raise her children differently, to instill in them empathy, humility, and a grounded perspective on the world. According to Ken Worf, Diana's former royal protection officer, she went to great lengths to show William and Harry life outside the palace gates. She took them to amusement parks, allowed them to eat at McDonald's, and even rode public transportation with them. Not for photo ops, but because she genuinely wanted them to understand life outside their royal bubble. These weren't trivial outings. They were lessons in compassion and humanity. Diana also recognized the power and the threat of the media. She worked with palace officials to orchestrate photo opportunities that gave the public a glimpse into her children's lives. In exchange, she pleaded for privacy, trying to create a protective barrier around her sons. It was a delicate balancing act, satisfying public interest while safeguarding her boys from the relentless scrutiny she herself had endured. In Andrew Morton's groundbreaking book, Diana, Her True Story, it became clear just how deeply she wrestled with the pressures of public life. Her letters weren't just updates or pleasantries. They were a mother's cry to preserve her children's innocence in a world obsessed with their every move. A legacy of maternal courage. By 2004, when these letters resurfaced at auction, William had grown into a young man at university. Though Diana had passed away 7 years earlier, the impact of her parenting remained vivid in his character. Her influence could be seen in his humility, his choices, and his growing role within the monarchy. The letters became a powerful reminder of the depth of Diana's love and the sacrifices she made to prepare her children for the responsibilities they would inherit. Through her handwritten words, filled with affection and conviction, Diana continued to guide and protect her sons from beyond the grave. The parenting style that redefined royal tradition. When Diana gave birth to Prince William on June 21, 1982, she was just 20 years old. Diana took a hands-on approach from the start. She broke with royal tradition by breastfeeding William, a decision that was rare among royals at the time. She chose his name herself and insisted on being involved in every aspect of his upbringing. Just weeks after William's birth, Charles had to travel to Australia. Traditionally, royal babies would stay behind in the care of staff, but not Diana. She insisted on bringing William with her, making it clear that no duty could override her role as a mother. As William grew older, Diana continued to rebel against tradition in quiet yet powerful ways. Instead of homeschooling him in the palace with private tutors, she enrolled him in a local nursery school. She often dropped him off and picked him up herself, chatting with other parents just like any other mom. These weren't small acts. They were radical shifts in royal parenting, lessons in compassion and real-world understanding. Diana's goal wasn't just to raise princes. She wanted to raise good men. She made it her mission to ensure William and Harry understood life beyond their titles. She brought them on visits to shelters, hospitals, and charity organizations. At Centrepoint, a charity for the homeless in London, she introduced William to young people his age who had no homes and no families. This was her way of teaching him responsibility, empathy, and the power of service. Diana would wear subtle disguises and select the least busy times to minimize security risks. But the goal was always the same: to show her sons the real world and remind them that their privilege came with a duty to serve others. A bond that couldn't be broken by the early 1990s, Diana's marriage to Prince Charles was unraveling. Public spats, tabloid scandals, and a growing emotional divide made headlines. But through it all, Diana stayed anchored to her sons. Even after her separation from Charles in 1992, she remained a constant in William and Harry's lives. She cheered at sports games and showed up for every milestone. And then came the infamous 1995 interview with journalist Martin Bashir, a broadcast watched by more than 22 million people. In it, Diana exposed the dysfunction behind palace walls, but her central focus wasn't on vengeance. It was on her boys. The final gift, a mother's words. The lost letter discovered in the auction catalog was never meant for public eyes. It wasn't polished or scripted, it was sincere. In it, Diana expressed her pride in William's growing maturity, her concerns about the pressures he faced, and her hopes that he would never lose sight of who he truly was. She wrote, "Never forget, my darling boy, that kindness is your greatest strength. The world may pull you in every direction, but let your heart guide you. I will always be with you, watching proudly." These words weren't just touching, they were prophetic. Today, as Prince William steps into greater roles within the monarchy, many see in him the values Diana fought so hard to preserve. In the end, Diana's legacy as a mother wasn't defined by crowns or ceremonies. It was defined by her courage to love fiercely, to defy tradition, and to raise her sons not as symbols of royalty, but as men of empathy, character, and heart. Through one lost letter, the world was reminded of a timeless truth. The power of a mother's love never fades.